Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Public Works for today, Friday, March 17th, 2017.
Commissioner Rivas, Repenning, James, Davis, and Jacinto are present. President James, we have a quorum. May we start with Bureau introductions, please, starting with Bureau of Street Services.
Good morning, Tim Tyson, Bureau of Street Services.
Good morning, Michael Simpson, LA San.
Good morning, Udi Jimenez, Bureau of Engineering.
Good morning, Hannah Choi, Bureau of Contract Administration.
Good morning, Ruben Flamenco, Bureau of Street Lighting.
Good morning, Lori Rittenberg, City Attorney.
Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. President James, we do not have any speaker cards under general public comment, and we also do not have any commentary under the Neighborhood Council comment section. We did receive speaker cards on items number 6, 9, and 14.
Okay, we'll close general public comment as well as the Neighborhood Council category of commentary. Just some housekeeping items. Agenda items 1 through 4. It's been requested by the Bureau that we continue items 1 through 4 to May 17th, 2017. Mr. Campos, what day of the week is that?
It's a Wednesday, I believe. It's a Wednesday.
It's a Wednesday.
And the continuation, yes, and Mr. President, the continuation is being requested so that the City Council can set the actual hearing date, and that will not happen until March 22nd, but the continuation date would be for May 17th so that this board can hear these items.
Okay, so 1 through 4 will be continued to May 17th, which is a Wednesday. Agenda item number 7. It's been requested by the Bureau of Sanitation that we withdraw the item temporarily, so the item will be re-agendized in the next few days for another date. So agenda item number 7 is temporarily withdrawn. And agenda item number 13, we are continuing at the request of the Bureau to Wednesday, March 22nd, 2017. That's item 13, continued to Wednesday, March 22nd, 2017. Agenda item number 15, specifications submitted for board adoption and authorization to advertise for the invitation of bids. This is in Council District 6 for the Donald C. Tillman chemical line upgrade. The project is $958,100, the estimate. The bid receipt date Wednesday, April 26, 2017. Is there a second to my motion that we adopt agenda item number 15 forthwith? By Commissioners Davis and Jacinto. Any objection? Without objection, we will do so. Is there a second to my motion that we approve the meeting minutes from the meeting of Wednesday, March 1, 2017 by Commissioner Repenning? Any objection? Without objection, we will do that. Let's start with agenda item number hang on a minute. 8 this morning. Bureau of Sanitation, Memorandum of Understanding from the Bureau of Sanitation, Environmental Educational Services, recommending that the board approve and forward the report with transmittals to the mayor, requesting the Board of Public Works enter into a Memorandum of Understanding with Discovery Cube Los Angeles to develop, promote, and assist with the Bureau of Sanitation environmental events and programs. The term of the MOU will be 3 years with a total cost ceiling of $3 million. Secondly, execute the MOU upon the mayor's authorization. And third, return the executed MOU to the Bureau of Sanitation for further processing and notify Bureau of Sanitation contact Keith Jong at 310-348-5631 for pickup. How's that in detail for the agenda notice? Ms. Mallory, go ahead.
Is there anything else to cover?
I know.
Good.
We trust that you will.
Good morning, President James, Commissioners, Bureau Representatives, Ms. Rittenberg, Mr. Campos. I'm Lisa Mowry, the Chief Financial Officer for LA Sanitation, and I'm really excited to be here today to talk about this MOU that will continue the partnership we have with the Discovery Cube LA. Hopefully everyone here has had a chance to visit the Discovery Cube and see the absolutely amazing exhibits we have up there, looking at the entire water cycle, a very hands-on exhibit having to do with recycling. Well, this MOU that we have today wants to build on that partnership that we've already developed with them over the past several years. The MOU for the next 3 years will allow us the opportunity to identify areas where we can partner with the Discovery Cube, because we both have shared goals of protecting the environment, increasing environmental stewardship, educating the residents of Los Angeles and the surrounding areas, particularly educating the youth in these areas. We've already done some partnerships that I would anticipate would continue under this MOU. For instance, last year was the inaugural LA Sanitation Earth Day celebration and Day of Service. Last year it was located at Hansen Dam adjacent to the Discovery Cube, so it was a great opportunity to partner with them. Sanitation was able to sponsor entry into the cube for people who attended our event, and the Discovery Cube used their tremendous amount of outreach to publicize our event. I think the last time I heard, their mailing list was approaching 40,000 people. Not all just located in their geographic area, but they actually have a pretty good regional sphere of influence. So that was something that worked really well last year, and we want to continue for future Earth Days, that type of partnership. Another area that we would anticipate issuing work under this MOU is related to developing environmental educational curriculum that can be used at either Sanitation's environmental learning centers out at Hyperion and at Lopez Canyon, and also rolled out to area schools. Discovery Cube has a very strong partnership, for instance, with LAUSD, and we would love to get some of our environmental curriculum out in the schools so the youth can learn about the things that sanitation does that a lot of people aren't necessarily aware of. And they can learn techniques to be better environmental stewards and really care about the environment. So when they grow up and become our ratepayers and voting members of our community, they will have that built into their baseline of things that they care about. Another thing I think that we can partner with them about that just popped into my head this week, as several of us were at the inaugural Status of Women and Girls in Los Angeles talk, and hearing about the girls' camps that the LAFD is doing in order to expose young women to firefighting as a career, to help them with their gender equity plans. I thought, ooh, we need to be doing that in sanitation. While we've been very successful recruiting women for engineering positions, for a lot of our blue-collar positions, we are still heavily male-dominated. So I think that would be a great opportunity for us to partner with the Cube on some educational events that we can do to really introduce young women as well as young men and people of various ethnicities to careers where they can really help protect the environment, which is something that many children feel very passionately about, so we can provide them for paths. Not everyone's going to be college bound and want to be an engineer, as hard as that is for me to believe, but there are many other ways that they can serve the community. So what we're intending to do over the next 3 years is identify these projects that we can work on, issue a task directive to the Discovery Cube. The contract ceiling is $3 million. We're anticipating spending about $600,000 of that this year. We've already identified some funds from our wastewater program, our solid resources program. And as we continue to develop tasks, we will identify the proper special funds from our funding sources to be associated with each type of work. With that, are there any questions?
Great. Thank you, Ms. Mowry. I would only mention, before I go to my colleagues, that we certainly appreciate our former controller and former councilwoman from CD2, Wendy Gruhl, joining us this morning. Ms. Gruhl, thank you for the work that you've done in partnership with the city and the Discovery Cube. Just anecdotally, and a little testimony for myself, I've been a number of times at various times of the day and evening for various events and grand openings, and featured some of the programs that have been featured there as well, and have been there when it's primarily all adults, and I've been there when you've got hundreds of kids, if not more, running around. And to see the excitement on their faces, to see the learning opportunity, and the other thing that I really like about it, of course, I'm a sports nut, so I love how creative they are with the King's exhibit. But the prominent placement of the Department of Public Works and the Bureau of Sanitation is terrific. And so there's a significant benefit here for the city. And as you mentioned, Lisa, the opportunity that you saw earlier this week at the event on Tuesday for the Discovery Cube is just a great fit for it. Yeah. I think this is a terrific opportunity for the city. This museum it's wonderfully placed. It's such an important part of the community and the region. I support this wholeheartedly, of course, and again, just wanted to thank you, Wendy and team, for the work that you're doing. So I don't have any questions. I've looked at the documents and worked with the Bureau on the MOU. Commissioner Repenning?
Sure. Thank you, Lisa. I just also wanted to express my support for this item. As a city, over the years, we've done a lot to make sure that this museum could be built because we wanted to have a children's museum. We wanted to have a cultural attraction in the Valley, and so I think it makes all the sense in the world that we continue providing programming and partnerships to ensure that this facility is the heart of the community that it was meant to be. And I think that sanitation, with our goals that we have in terms of increasing recycling, we're going to really start to address food waste recycling, all of the education we have been doing and want to continue doing around water conservation, around water recycling. These are all important goals for the department, and I think that starting young, making sure that our kids understand how they can contribute, how they can help their families contribute to addressing climate change, to making our city a nicer place to live, I think is a great thing. So I really want to actually thank Enrique and you and the team at Sanitation for your willingness to invest in this partnership, and I look forward to, however I can, helping it be successful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Penning. Commissioner Rivas?
Thank you, Lisa. As you may know, I grew up down the street from the Discovery Cube, and I'm so jealous that there's now a science center there. I would have loved to have gone there as a kid. I remember going to Hansen Dam to play, and now there's like a science center, but I'm very excited that my community has this resource, and I've worked with them before. As you know, I used to run a STEM organization in the Valley. They're great partners, and so I'm glad that you're choosing to partner with them and with what I think is much needed, like science curriculum, especially if it involves public works and the environment and sanitation. But also, I really liked what you said about the girls' camps, and I definitely want to be involved in any way that I can help. But also thinking of the Discovery Cube could be a place for you to also recruit new team members, especially women and others in that area. Using it as a career fair. I know, I'm from that area, and a lot of people don't know how to access jobs for that are available in public works or the city. And I think the Discovery Cube can be a resource and a partner for us to recruit more people into careers that they may not know about, especially within sanitation. So thank you so much for doing this, and please count on my support. And if there's anything I can do, I'm happy to join. Thanks.
Thank you. That's a fantastic point. We will take advantage of that.
Thank you, Commissioner Rivas. Commissioner Davis?
Lisa, I'd like to thank you for this memorandum of understanding and the work that you and the committee have dedicated towards developing this relationship with the Cube. And undoubtedly, it's going to be positive, particularly to those who are the host of the facility in the Valley. However, I think in general, it will be a benefit to all Los Angelenos. In particular, I can appreciate on this Women's History Month, you reaching out in terms of the goal of accomplishing gender equity from the opportunities that exist here, and representing some of the issues in South LA we have a lot of families that are matrifocal families, or in other words, families that are headed by women. And so the gender equity policy initiative is a very and a critically important one. And I'm so glad to see those values reflected in this memorandum of understanding. And in concluding, I will say that this also, as I always conclude, it reflects some of the goals, too, of the mayor's leadership on back to basics as well. So I support this 100%, and I think you've done a great job.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Commissioner Jacinto?
Thank you, President James. Lisa, great report, great MOU, the partnership with the Discovery Cube LA. And, I'm struck by the intersection of inspiring students to become environmental stewards at a time where our environmental protections are being threatened, are under attack. So we have to do all we can. So what I'm going to ask is that we really benefit the board by having report backs early on in terms of what we do in the first year so that we can fully assist, support, and disseminate and get more partners to this important endeavor. So both thumbs up. Thank you.
Excellent.
To LA
Will
San.
do.
Thank you, Commissioner Jacinto. I would only add just a couple more thank yous and then a point that I think this also drives home that I try to mention to the public. Our partners at DWP often are thought of, appropriately so, as an environmental agency of the city. I never say the environmental agency of the city because I remind them that Public Works, and particularly the Bureau of Sanitation, in many ways, is an environmental agency of the city. And this helps instill that in students. They get exposure to both agencies at Discovery Cube. But again, I was very pleased with the prominent representation of sanitation at the Discovery Cube. And thank yous to our assistants from the City Attorney's Office, Adina Hoppenstand, Ted Jordan, Laurie Rittenberg. Thank you all for your work on this. I'll make a motion on agenda item number 8, seconded by Commissioner Repenning and Commissioner Jacinto. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 8. Any issue sending number 8 forthwith? We'll send number 8 forthwith. Thank you, Ms. Mallory.
Thank you very much.
Thank you to the Discovery Cube. Wendy, good to see you. Agenda item number 6, above ground facility in Council District 4, adjacent to 8591 West Wonderland Avenue, recommending that the board deny Mark Gaberman's appeal of the Bureau of Engineering's determination to locate the above-ground facility adjacent to 8591 West Wonderland Avenue with a condition that the proposed cabinet be placed 2 feet away from the existing retaining wall. Warren Liu, on agenda item number 6. Mr. Gaberman, we'll have Mr. Liu summarize what's going on here, and you can have a seat, and then we'll call you up. And if we have questions for the Bureau, Mr. Liu and Mr. Ledoux are both here. Go ahead, sir.
Good morning. My name is Warren Liu. I'm working for Bureau of Engineering, Central District. The location for this AGF is 8591 Wonderland Avenue. The applicant is AT&T in Council District number 4. In Council District's position is neutral. The zoning for this location is residential. They applied it was November 7, 2016. The facilities applied for is one standard AT&T's cabinet, 40.5 inch high by 42.8 inch wide by 19.9 inch deep. Date of the site investigation is on the December 13, 2016, January 25th and 26th, 2017, and BOE staff conducted 3 site investigations and concluded there is no sidewalk across the street and there's no alternative sign on this block. With the reasonable measures AT&T decided to relocate the cabinet as close to the retaining wall as possible for prevent any traffic visibility hazard. The appellant is Mark Gaberman, who's a budding property owner. The appellant's reason for appeal are first, the cabinet poses terrible eyesore and quiet impractical. BOE's response is the Municipal Code Section 62.08 requires the AGF owner to install landscaping on both sides of the installation to decrease the virtual impact. Reason number two is the proposed AGF blocking where the cars park. The proposed AT&T cabinet located along a section of proposed non-stopping at any time sign. The cabinet is not located where the cars can legally park. Reason number three for appeal is the cabinet to be relocated to 30 to 40 yards from proposed location. The ordinance does not allow an AGF to be located in 45-foot traffic visibility triangle. Appellant's proposed location would place the cabinet within the visibility triangle. The last reason to appeal is the proposed cabinet would block the wheel from backing up from his driveway. The BOE staff went to the site and placed a simulated AGF cabinet 2 feet plus 20 inches for cabinet depth from the retaining wall. At this location, the proposed cabinet cannot be seen from the appellant's driveway. There's a pre-hearing meeting with Commissioner Jacinto on the January 20th, 2017 at 1 p.m. Commissioner Jacinto asked us to go back out to check the cabinet visibility from appellant's driveway, and Commissioner Jacinto's recommendation is deny Mark Gaberman's appeal of the BOE's determination to locate the AGF adjacent to A591 Wonderland Avenue with the condition that the proposed cabinet to be placed 2 feet away from the existing retaining wall. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Liu. Any questions for Mr. Liu or Mr. Ledoux before we move to Mr. Gaberman? All right, thank you. Mr. Gaberman? Thank you. Just so you know, sir, I don't know if you've been to City Hall before, we have a 2-minute time limit on speakers, but we don't impose that time limit on what I term the real parties in interest. The only thing I ask, since we don't impose the time limit, is just if you start to repeat yourself, I'll step in. So the floor is yours, sir.
Well, I'm terrified of public speaking, so I'll try to keep it as brief as I can.
Well, you're doing fine. Go ahead. Go ahead. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Basically, this is my driveway, and what I'm talking. Do you need me to be in front?
Yeah, if you speak on the microphone, you can adjust it. We're making a public record.
I'm not a rock star. This is my driveway, and as I back up, I'm on this blind corner, and originally they wanted to put it right on the street. And that was completely terrifying because they just didn't take in the sight lines into account. And I'm submitting to you now that they're really still not, in that they're moving it back to the wall, but when they put the simulation there, there was this garbage can, it was still coming out on me. And you don't understand how fast people fly around this corner. Anybody who's been up in Laurel Canyon knows that people drive crazy up there. And when they come around this corner, I'm backing out. Where am I? This way. And it's bananas. And so when they came, I had a couple of different options. There's down the street, there's a couple of boxes.
You can hand those to our executive officer. It would be helpful for us. Yeah.
There are a couple of boxes there. And also, there's this. And there are various reasons why they said we can't do that. And I had other options, and there are other options here, and I can't just throw all these things out because they were shot down. And then I remembered something really important, that I'm not a city attorney and I'm not a city planner, and I don't know where these things should go or shouldn't go. But I do know that I've lived in this neighborhood for 17 years, and this is where it shouldn't go. Eyesore aside, that's one thing. The safety issue is paramount to me, and it's a bad spot. There are better spots. This cannot be the only place in Laurel Canyon for this box. There has to be a plan B. And I know it's easy for AT&T to put it there. I'm asking them to work just a little harder and find a spot that's not where pedestrians walk. That's one picture that's there, that there's a retaining wall, and it's further in where people don't walk. It's up the street. They said something about it not being the center of the reception area. It's 7 doors up, and it's not where folks are. And it's off, and it's more hidden, and it's just for me, it's a better spot, obviously, but I think it's a better spot for the neighborhood. I'm hoping you take that into account. I don't know what else I can really say. All these arguments have been previously shot down, but I'm hoping that you'll reconsider this.
Great. Thank you, sir. Mr. Ledoux or Mr. Liu, either one or both? I have a few questions here. A couple of things that just anecdotally and from my own personal experience, which we bring to this job. We come from different parts of the city, and I don't live in this. I live in the area, not the immediate area, but the area sufficient enough to know about and agree with Mr. Gaberman about the speeds on the streets. And on a public safety note, the sightline issue does concern me. And the other thing is, I guess the first question is, Mr. Gaberman's letter proposes an alternative location with an address. Now, that alternative location, and let me just, I know I'm jumping around here. First of all, Mr. Gaberman, let me just say that the eyesore argument is not something that I'm inclined to support overturning a location that fits it within the ordinance. And we try to mitigate those with the landscaping and things like that, because there is a service that our communities need, that these facilities provide. But I am concerned about public safety aspects. And when you're in a hillside community, there are some complications that don't exist in the non-hillside communities because of the curved roads and the sight lines that exist. And the way that homes are built literally up against the curb of the road, and there are no sidewalks. Is there a sidewalk there, Mr. Gaberman, or no? It's probably in the photo.
The first one. Yeah, it's sort of a sidewalk right of way, and then it curves around, and then it stops at Vado at the stop sign and gets super thin.
Okay.
But then it comes back out again, and houses are up, and they're not. My house happens to be up, the other houses are further back.
So, thank you, sir. Mr. Ledoux, I see. Did you look at the other address that was proposed in Mr. Gaberman's letter?
My name is Jeff Ledoux from Bureau of Engineering. We went out there 3 times. We walked up and down it. As far as I know, the sites that he proposed as alternates would not work. We did look at the safety aspect of. There's no sidewalks, by the way, on his side of the street, and there isn't much on the other side. It's like everything is, like you said, on the opposite side of the street, almost up to the curb. So there's really no place to stick it on that side of the road, which would be preferable because of the curve, like you said. What we did is when we initially placed one of the trash cans, as they make a pretty good cabinet, is I did not take into account that the cabinet is slightly deeper than the actual cabinets are, and that the ground we had placed it on was at a slope, and when AT&T installs this, they will put it on a level concrete foundation. So what we did the next time we went out there is we measured 2 feet out from the retaining wall. The cabinets are 19.9 inches deep, so we measured 20 inches. We put the trash can at that line marker and stood it so it's totally vertical, and neither Warren nor I from his driveway could see this thing at all. So in other words, as conditions are currently out there, there's a big oak tree there with branches hanging down and stuff, the cabinet would be totally invisible from his driveway. Part of the problem we had is cabinet could be moved up further. The problem is it's in front of a different property. This homeowner did not appeal it, did not call us, and where we have it located now, it's sort of on the south corner of the lot. The more we move it up, the more we stick it in the center of this person's lot, which to me is not right to do, and if we did that, we'd have to let the owner know of the change in location, which could bring about another appeal. Like now, they're okay with it being at the southern corner. So as far as I can determine, we have alleviated the traffic visibility safety issue.
So you've alleviated
We eliminated the visibility of that cabinet from his driveway.
And regarding, could you describe for me, Jeff, how you've done so, taking into account the sight line I'm concerned about has to do with a car backing out, with cars moving on that street, which I think is Wonderland.
Yeah, and he's correct. It is a dangerous situation.
So my question is, are there less dangerous situations on the same block that provides the service to the area that is needed? Or is that something that in your 3 visits you exhausted?
I think we exhausted. Part of the problem is there's not very many wide spots. This is the widest spot there is there that we looked at. And like I said, if we moved it further up, we end up centering on this person's front of this person's lot, which we would prefer not to do. When we did our next test, taking into account the actual width of AT&T's cabinet.
Let me ask you, if you move it further up, even though it centers on someone's lot, is it safer?
I don't think so, because the retaining wall also does curve. Although as you get around the curve, it either curves, sharper in or somewhat straight. The other thing is we're not sure how far out the retaining wall's foundation comes. It may be closer. It may not come out 2 feet. AT&T could determine that when they go out and start digging into this. If it is closer into the actual retaining wall, they will move it closer into the retaining wall.
Because here's what I'm grappling with, and I would sometimes in the hillside communities, not always, but sometimes, if you have an area that's safer, have we inquired with that neighbor that it would be in the center of their lot?
No, we've only notified them, one time, so we don't try to seek controversy with them. I mean, if the board would feel more comfortable if we went back out and looked at this one more time.
Let me tell you why I put myself into this because I know the area, and that's part of what we do in this job. I live in a different area of Laurel Canyon. We all in our area, a lot of us have all lived there. I've lived there 24 years, have lived there a long time. If this came, and there happens to be one near my home, I used to always say, because I wanted cell service so bad, and I had such poor service at home, put it right in front of my house. then I get the best service. I know that's not technically how it works, and this was years ago. But I know that we would all talk about, for safety, where the appropriate place would be. And that's why, and I don't know about this section of the canyon, but that's why I'm wondering, what I almost would like for the Bureau to do is to, within the area that AT&T needs to place to provide the service to the community because they want it, they deserve it, and they're entitled to it, what is the safest location, even if it alters a little bit from some of our standard requirements, like not directly in front of someone's home, not in the center of someone's home, only because depending on who you end up with, you might not get an opposition. You might, and we would have to consider that. But you might not in some of these hillside communities because of the sight lines and the speed and the parking that is always a little unique. And that's really the issue about the blight and all that. I got it. But that doesn't move me, but the safety issue does. Mr. Gaberman, you want to add something? You could, microphone.
Mr. Gaberman, if you can just speak into the mic, please.
Yeah. Sorry, we're making a public record.
Those boxes that I sent up around, they're right across from the school, and it's not. It's sort of a more commercial.
Okay,
industrial.
let me ask them about that, Mr. Ledoux. So for these above ground facilities that are right across, is that the Wonderland School? That are right across from the Wonderland School, are those? I'm guessing, I don't even know which apparatus, who they belong to. Are they providing the same service as AT&T is seeking to provide here?
They appear to be AT&T Lightspeed box. It provides a totally different service, and the Wonderland School is not all that close to the location of the cabinet. We're probably talking. It's not across the street from the location of the proposed cabinet, because we passed the Wonderland School on our way to the proposed. It's probably a couple hundred feet further south on the street.
So you know, with AT&T, what area needs to be served. And what I want you to do, because of the, if my colleagues would engage me on this request, how much time do you have on your clock?
These are not under FCC shot clocks. They are not cell sites.
Okay. So what I would like to do then is, and I know you've been out there 3 times, and I'm sorry, but sometimes you have community issues that require, there are complications. Just because the sight lines are different, and I know Wonderland is a speed issue that DOT deals with in various ways. I would like you to let us know what the Bureau thinks is the safest location for the above ground facility. And we don't need to have the hearing as much as if you can just notify us and well, I think we ought to do it at a hearing.
Well, if you want, if Commissioner Cinto does not have a problem with that, I have gone out rarely in the field with another commissioner so that they can see what we're seeing.
Okay. That might make sense here. I hate to volunteer myself for that, but what I would like to hear, more than from us seeing it, I want the Bureau's expertise on what the Bureau determines is the safest location for it, okay, more than what I see or somebody else sees. But I would like to hear from the Bureau what they think is the safest location. And then we can determine if we want to open up the notice process again or not. Okay. And if we may open up the notice process, and if we get an objection, then we have a decision to make. If we don't get an objection, then we have a resolution that the community's agreed with. And that's what I'm taking a shot at here, if that's okay. Commissioner Davis?
Yeah, I was going to ask, these this is Wonderland. This is on the way to Lookout Mountain area. Is this area near Lookout Mountain?
Yes, it's off of Lookout Mountain.
Okay, so what I wanted to ask Mr. Perdue is, you mentioned that it would be in the middle of this alternative property that we are considering. Would it be possible that we could explore, if in fact that option is viable, that it not necessarily have to be in the middle of that property, and if it were located somewhere else on that property, would it also be effectively used, not to necessarily have to be specifically in the middle of that property? And you might not be able to answer this question, but it would appear to me that to explore that so that we don't necessarily put it in the middle of somebody's property, but maybe if that property is in fact a viable alternative, we can move it a little to the left or to the right, and it still will be effectively used because it's still in a location that has been identified by your experts as a possibility. So my comment is that hopefully one of the things to be explored would be looking at, if in fact that property is viable, it could be used in a way that is not necessarily in the middle of that property.
Are we okay, Mr. Ledoux?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Penning?
On this item, I'm inclined to support President James's thinking as he knows the area. So that's where I'm at. But I actually wanted to take a minute to say hello to the students who have joined us in the back. Hi, guys.
Hey, everybody.
What school are you from? Wilson High School. Okay, well, welcome to the meeting of the Board of Public Works, where we talk about all kinds of things, including sanitation, so trash and recycling, water. We talk about street lighting. We talk about fixing sidewalks. We talk about building parks, and trimming trees, planting trees, and all sorts of things that make the city hopefully a better place for you guys to live and grow up in. So welcome today.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for being here today. And what we're talking about right now, and we'll continue our discussion, we oversee the public right-of-way, so roads, sidewalks, things that you, of course, come in contact with every day. And for various parts of technology, including smartphones and telecommunications at home and all kinds of computer-related equipment, as well as various power outlets, we put infrastructure, street furniture, we call it, above ground facilities in the public right-of-way. And we're having a discussion right now for a location in a hillside community as to what's the safest area to put the location that works within the ordinance that we have to abide by. And there's an actual homeowner who's showed up today because it relates to his family's property. Commissioner Jacinto.
Thank you, President James. To your comment and to the colleagues, I appreciate the dialogue that we're having, because this is exactly the dialogue that we had at the hearing. First and foremost, public safety. And so I'm fine. We can never do enough due diligence. When the staff reported back that the above ground facility would be removed from the line of sight, which was, again, the number one, I felt comfortable, and that's why the recommendation wasn't made lightly. It was made after that due diligence, after 3 times. So thank you for going 3 times. But we can go again to try to see if we can come to a slightly better location. So I'm fine with that.
Thank you, Commissioner Jacinto, for the support. I completely appreciate that. What I was wanting to do, if possible, was just expand the sphere a little bit, if it's even possible. And if it is, great. If not, then we'll have this discussion again on another date. Mr. Ledoux, how much time do you need for this, along with AT&T? You want 2 weeks to come back?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Mr. Gaberman, what dates work for you? 2 weeks from today? To come back? Or not. I mean, it's up to you. We're going to...
If they can find something else, I mean, I presented everything I
So, okay, that's fine. So we'll set it for 2 weeks from today, which is, yes, continuing the item. So
that would be Friday, March 31st.
Friday, March 31st. That's right. We have 31 in March. Okay, so thank you, Mr. Ledoux. And you'll let Mr. Gaberman, copy Mr. Gaberman on the communications, the email that you have with us.
Yes.
On that. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Agenda item, and thank you, colleagues, for indulging us on that. Agenda item number, let's see, we just did number 6. I have an 8. I've got speaking cards on 9. Agenda item number 9, Council District 4, tree removal, 7681 Willow Glen Road. Recommending that the board certify that the board has reviewed and considered the information in the mitigated negative declaration for the project at 7681 Willow Glen Road and find the information contained therein appropriately addresses the requested tree removals. Second, find that this project will not have a significant environmental effect under the above described MND, as the imposition of the mitigation measures described in the MND and incorporated herein as project conditions is such that there is no substantial evidence the proposed project will have a significant effect on the environment pursuant to the city's environmental guidelines and is in compliance with the California Environmental Quality Act. Third, find the project's conflict with any local policies or ordinances protecting biological resources such as tree preservation policies or ordinances is less than significant with the incorporation of mitigation measures 470 and 480 as contained in the MND. Number 4, adopt the mitigated negative declaration. Number 5, specify that the Bureau of Street Services Urban Forestry Division, located at 1149 South Broadway, is the custodian of the documents and other material that constitute the record of proceedings upon which the board's decision is based. And 6, approve the request for a fee tree removal permit for 6 coast live oak trees and 1 black walnut tree. Tree replacements are required. Mr. Tyson, and then we have a speaker card for Stephen Summers as well. So go ahead, Mr. Tyson.
President James, Commissioners, Bureau Representatives, City Attorney, and Executive Officer. The Bureau was approached by Mr. George Matthew, property owner, who is demolishing an existing 1,712-foot home and is proposing to construct a new 8,377 square foot, 3-story single-family residence on a lot measuring 35,934 square feet. The footprint of the proposed development is approximately 6,000 square feet with a floor area ratio of 16% of the property. The property has moderate to steep topography, and in order to construct a proposed single-family residence, the property will require slope remediation work consisting of retaining walls and remedial grading. Construction of the new dwelling and required grading will require the removal of 7 protected trees. Mr. Stephen Summers, who's here today, his brother, representative for the property owner, contacted the Bureau regarding the proposed construction of the single-family residence. In the response to the inquiry, Mr. Summers was directed to obtain services from a Los Angeles Municipal Code-defined tree expert. Mrs. Smith, Mrs. Lisa Smith, inspected the property. She's a registered consulting arborist, tree expert. On October 8, 2015, it found 10 protected trees on the subject property. There are 8 coast live oaks and 2 black walnut trees measuring approximately 9 to 40 inches in diameter by 15 to 35 feet in height growing on the property. The trees all range from fair to good health and vigor throughout their canopy, with 1 in poor health. 6 coast live oak trees and 1 Southern California black walnut tree will be significantly impacted by the required grading for construction of the new residence. Sylvia Martinez and Alice Roth of the 4th Council District were informed of the tree removal request on September 12, 2016, as well as the Community Forest Advisory Committee. The applicant shall plant 36-inch box-size coast live oak trees, 12 24-inch box coast live oak trees, 1 24-inch box-size California sycamore, to replace the removed trees, if so granted by the board today. Upon issuance of the protected tree removal permit, the Bureau shall be notified a minimum of 10 days prior to the day the protected tree removal shall occur. The applicant's tree expert shall be on site the day the tree removal is to ensure the proper trees are removed. A Bureau arborist will arrange an on-site meeting with the applicant or their tree expert the day following the removal of the protected trees. The applicant, in conjunction with the project's landscape architect or tree expert, shall be responsible to ensure the tree removal permits, tree replacement conditions are in compliance. Replacement tree planting shall follow the landscape plan to the fullest extent possible. The Bureau shall be notified no later than 5 days after the completion of the tree replacements. A Bureau arborist will make arrangements to visit the site and approve the tree replacements as being in compliance with the permit conditions within 5 working days of the notification of the planting completion. With these things that need to take place for the property owner to build the property, the grading and the retaining wall, and the locations of the trees that will require their removal. So with that, I'm asking that the board grant the approval of the removal permit, as well as if you have any questions, I'm here to answer anything you have.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Tyson before we go to Mr. Summers? Thank you, Mr. Tyson. No questions for you. Mr. Summers, anything you want to add, sir? All yours.
Good morning. Nothing that I want to add. I'm just available for questions. I'm the applicant's representative, Stephen Summers with Crest Real Estate. Good to see all of you again. And we do have Elisa Smith, the registered consulting arborist, here as well for questions.
Great.
The majority of the removals are due to remedial grading for the new home. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Good to see you. We see a lot of your work here, of course. Any questions at all? I don't have any questions either. I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 9. Is there a second by Commissioner Davis? Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 9. Any issue sending number 9 forthwith? We'll send number 9 forthwith. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Yeah. Agenda item number 14. Contract award, Council District 5, West Side Unit 1 Series to multiple high voltage conversion, fiscal year 2016-17. Recommending that the board first find transmittal number 2 to be unmerited as discussed in the report. Second, declare Servitech Solutions Incorporated, Servitech, the first low bidder to be the lowest responsible bidder, and award Servitech a contract for the project for $2,375,290.16. Third, forward a copy of the report to the affected council district offices. And fourth, authorize myself or 2 members of the board to execute the contract for the project upon approval of all required documents by the city attorney. Vince Nguyen and John Pattison. Mr. Nguyen. Good morning again, sir.
Good morning, President James and Commissioners. I'm Vince Nguyen with the Bureau of Street Lighting. This project will convert existing high voltage series street lighting circuits to low voltage multiple circuits. We have received a total of 3 bids for this project. Servitech is the first low bidder and Select Electric is the second low bidder. Select Electric submitted a letter requesting the board to find Servitech non-responsive for failing to meet the 8% MSM requirement, and subsequently award the project to Select Electric. The MSM participation level is to be calculated after subtracting the amount of the fixed cost items from the total bid amount. Select Electric did not subtract the amount of the fixed cost item from the total bid amount when calculating the MSM participation level, which is calculated to be 8.02% when subtracting the amount of the fixed cost item from the total bid amount. Therefore, Servitech remains the lowest responsible bidder. So in view of the above findings, it's recommended that the board find Select Electric request to be unmerited and declare Servitech the lowest responsible bidder and award the contract for this project to Servitech.
Thank you, sir. Any questions? Commissioner Jacinto.
Thank you. Vince, this is the Servitech, is a representative here?
Yes,
Sir, you've been This is your first contract, as Commissioner Rivas had pointed out, with the city? As a prime.
They've worked with us as a sub.
As a sub, and now you're a prime, sir. And you're a maybe Weeby DBV. You're like the unicorn of contractors. So I appreciate this greatly, and congratulations for moving from sub to prime and building your business and the employees that you have in your family, sir.
They were awarded 2 projects last Friday.
Thank you. Mr. Patterson, anything?
Good morning, John Patterson with the Bureau of Contract Administration. Vince covered everything pretty good. I'm not sure I have much to add. We do have the business inclusion program, the outreach through the city's BAVN website. Servitech, naturally, they completed their outreach, used the BAVN service to do that. They've complied with the business inclusion program requirements on this project. So Bureau of Contract Administration is recommending award to Servitech.
Any questions for Mr. Patterson? Okay. Jeff, from Servitech. I'm sorry, I can't read your last name. Reyes. Okay. We have a card. If you want to say anything, you're welcome to. Go ahead, sir. Welcome.
Hi. This is my first time here, so forgive me. First of all, I want to say thank you to everybody for giving us the opportunity to be awarded this project. We're looking forward to serve the residents of City of LA. This is a long time coming for us. It took us a while to get to this level. And then with our meeting with Vince yesterday, I told him that the City of LA has our full attention on this project, especially being awarded 4 street lighting projects. You know, we have all hands on deck to serve and perform on this. So I want to say thank you to everybody. Thank you for the opportunity, and I'm really looking forward to perform on this project.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes. Commissioner Rivas?
No, thank you. We look forward to working with you, and I know you're new as a prime, right? And I know the street lighting team is excited to work with you, and thank you. So.
Commissioner Davis. Thank you, Commissioner
I
Rivas.
wanted to say in terms of contracting, I'm glad to see the growth and development from those who do business with us, who are subs, able to grow and develop to being primes. And I hope that your story becomes the story of other subcontractors within our jurisdiction as well. And I think that you are an example of what we hope that the City of Los Angeles contracting experience will be. So I congratulate you, and we look forward to
Thank you.
others following your lead.
Yeah, it's a big, I should say, big responsibility, right? With great power comes great responsibility. So now it's our turn to give back to the community and pick subs for us to work with. So we'll be doing that on the next upcoming bids.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Is there a motion on agenda item number 14 by Commissioner Rivas, seconded by Commissioners Jacinto and Davis? Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 14. Any issue sending 14 forthwith? We'll send it forthwith. Thank you all. Agenda item number 5, Bureau of Engineering and Council District 14, above ground facility variance 2709 East Camillus Place, recommending that the board approve the request for a variance from the height limitation requirements of the above ground facility ordinance pursuant to Los Angeles Municipal Code Section 62.08 VB, and authorize Mobility LLC to install a 43-foot 1-inch high wood monopole in the public right-of-way adjacent to 2709 East Camillus Place on the 8th Street side of the lot. Mr. Ledoux on number 5.
Good morning. My name is Jeff Ledoux. I work for the Bureau of Engineering Central District. As you know, this is a monopole 43 feet high by Mobility in Council District 14. It is in a residential zone. We've had a number of contacts with CD 14 over these last 3 continuations. I have met with their BOE representative, Nate Hayward, and at this point, they seem to be going along with this application going through.
Questions, Mr. Ledoux on number 5? No. objections from the notice that was sent out? I don't have any questions. Commissioner Sindels made a motion that we adopt agenda item number 5. I'll second it. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 5. Any issue sending it forthwith? We'll send number 5 forthwith. Thank you, sir. Agenda item, let's see, we've done number 6. Number 7 is continued. Number 8, number 9. Agenda item number 10. Council districts 1, 3, 8, 10, 14, and 15, contract termination, Woods Maintenance Services, recommending that the board declare Woods Maintenance Services Incorporated to be in default of their contracts. Secondly, terminate 4 landscape maintenance contracts of median islands and maintenance of unimproved median islands at specific locations for Bay Harbor, North Central, East Valley, and West Valley. Those contract numbers are in the agenda notice. Third, authorize the Bureau of Street Services to notify SureTech Insurance Company, that's the surety, of the contract termination and board action. 4, authorize the Bureau of Street Services to use Department of Recreation and Parks contract number 3449 to contract, that's piggybacking on a contract of BMC Landscape Management Incorporated, to perform, I'll say, certain landscape media maintenance work on certain high-priority medians until new contracts are executed. Mr. Spots on number 10, sir.
Good morning, President James, Commissioners, Bureau Representatives, City Attorney, and Executive Officer. I'm Greg Spots, Assistant Director of the Bureau of Street Services. I oversee the Urban Forestry, Street Maintenance, and Investigation and Enforcement Divisions. We have about 10.5 million square feet of landscape median islands in the city that represent some of our most beautiful and treasured boulevards. And before the budget crisis about 10 years ago, the Bureau used to have some forces to maintain about half of these medians, and we contracted out the maintenance of the other half. Those positions were eliminated during the budget crisis, and since then we've relied solely on contractors to do this work, and we no longer have our own city staff, who would be gardener caretakers mostly, to do this sort of work. We contract this out on an annual basis. The last time we did so, we advertised contracts in May of 2016. Because the portfolio of median islands is so extensive with 10.5 million square feet, we traditionally break these contracts up into 4 geographic areas: East Valley, West Valley, Bay Harbor, and North Central. And we did so in May, and this board advertised and opened bids in May of 2016. And awarded all 4 contracts to the same firm, Woods Maintenance Company, which was the apparent low bidder for all 4 of the regions. And the notices to proceed on all 4 contracts were issued in September 14th, 2016. Almost right away, our Urban Forestry Division was concerned that the contractor didn't seem to be scaling up to the size of crews and equipment that would be needed to maintain these medians. It's a pay-per-performance type of contract in which the contractors bid on a price, and for that price they're supposed to visit the medians every 2 weeks and bring it into the specified maintenance condition. And in the first month of the contractor was only able to visit about 25% of the medians, which was a concern. And in the second month it wasn't that much better. And by the end of the second month, the contractor had already started sending us letters saying they may be walking away from the contract. We met with them multiple times, received different letters saying they were about to stop work, then they were going to continue the work, then they were about to stop work again. They scaled up to the capability to service about 50% of the medians in December. And then in January 27th, they sent us an official letter they were stopping work January 31st. And that's left the Bureau and our constituents and neighborhoods in a tough position because the Bureau simply doesn't have dozens of gardener caretakers and mowers and equipment ready to go out and take care of these medians. And indeed, the last time we have seen Woods maintain a median was January 31st, which was the day they said that they were going to stop. So the medians are not in very good condition right now. We have pulled 5 people off of other duties. We have a small group that installs new landscape median islands. They install the landscaping, plant trees and new medians, build the irrigation in those new medians. We've stopped doing that grant funded work so that we can just move one crew around trying to do some of the highest profile medians. We borrowed one of these large mowers from Recreation and Parks because we don't have that equipment anymore. And we've been doing our best, but the system is too big for one crew, obviously. So we've been working with Recreation and Parks to see if we could piggyback on one of their existing contracts, knowing that the contracting process for the city is lengthy. And we found 2 contractors who are interested. Neither of them have the capacity to maintain the 10.5 million square feet, but they both had the capacity to maintain some. And we received bids from them, and we were asking you in part to allow us to begin working with BMC Landscape Management, who was the low bidder of the 2. Their bid was about 25% higher than what we had been paying for Woods, which is not a problem for us financially because Woods left so much money on the table, and we're only asking BMC to maintain about 2 of the major medians in each council district because that's how much they say they can do in short notice. So we'd like to immediately get your approval to have BMC serve as our sort of interim contractor on the highest profile medians and terminate the contract with Woods since they haven't performed since January 31st. And next week we'll be coming to you to re-advertise these contracts for each of the 4 areas. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Mr. Spots, one thing I'd like to do on this is have the Bureau of Contract Administration, I want to make it the record of the payroll issue with Woods while we have this item on the agenda right now. So we have a representative from the Bureau of Contract Administration. Just to summarize the payroll issue that we've had with Woods so that I've got a solid record before we ask for a second on Commissioner Davis's motion.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, commissioners and senior staff. My name is Andrea Chisholm from the Bureau of Contract Administration, and I would have been tasked with overseeing the monitoring and enforcement of the prevailing wage requirements for the 4 projects awarded to Woods Maintenance. It does appear that Woods was given incorrect information about how to submit their payroll to our office, and they contacted our office for clarification in early October. They received clarification on October 18th, 2016, from our OCPS help desk staff that they should mail in their certified payroll to our office. And further, they received clarification by me on October 25th, 2016. I sent an email to Woods detailing how they should submit their payrolls as well as some other reporting requirements. And I informed them that I was the analyst. I gave them my contact information and let them know that I was available for any further questions and they could just contact me directly. On December 28th, I received a progress payment request from Street Services. On checking the files, I found I still had no payrolls from Woods Maintenance. The payrolls are important for us. We really can't do our job without them. Our standard procedure...
And just the reason for why, I mean, I think it's a bit obvious, but again, just to make a whole record, the reason that the Bureau needs payrolls to be able to pay the contractor.
We need to be able to check and see that the workers are indeed being paid prevailing wage as per California state law, the labor code.
Thank you, ma'am. Go ahead.
Additionally, I had not received any phone calls or emails from Woods after I contacted them in October. Our standard practice then at that time, not having the payrolls, is to contact the contractor as directed by the California Labor Code and request that they submit payrolls. The letter does note penalties as well as per state law that could be assessed if the contractor fails to submit the payrolls. Additionally, on January 18th, 2017, I again gave Woods a detailed explanation of their reporting requirements, and at that time I went into greater detail of what is required and a more thorough than usually what we provide contractors. On January 25th, our office did receive some of the requested payrolls, though not all. These payrolls covered September 19th through October 18th, 2016. Receipt of these payrolls provided me with the information I needed to be able to sign off on progress payment number 1 for North Central, Bay Harbor, and West Valley, and payment request number 2 for East Valley. I did not receive payrolls for the period of request payment number 1 for East Valley, so I couldn't sign off on that one. Wood's failure to submit payrolls in a timely manner put them in violation of California Labor Code and meant that they were subject to assessment of penalties of $100 per day per worker. In trying to work with Woods to bring them back into compliance, the decision was made not to assess penalties for their late submission of payrolls at that time. Further review of payrolls in late January revealed that the most current payroll on each of the 4 projects was week ending November 27th, 2016. So on February 1st, 2017, a second letter was sent to Woods requesting the missing payrolls. Additional payrolls were submitted and reviewed. The review resulted in my being able to now sign off on payroll request number 2 for North Central, Bay Harbor, and West Valley. The last 2 communications with Woods from our office happened in March. On March 9th, 2017, I received progress payment number 3 for North Central. I was able to sign off on that. On March 13th, and on March 14th, I received payroll request number 3 for Bay Harbor, and I was able to sign off and return that to Street Services the same day. Are there any questions?
Commissioner Penning? Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, I would just want to thank the Bureau and Greg for your work in trying to solve the problem that this has caused. And I would say that it's a cautionary tale for folks who would argue that contracting out services is faster and cheaper. And it's obviously in this case hasn't been, and it has not been reliable. So we're now, after a very rainy season where a lot of growth is occurring on the medians. The work itself is not, it's not something anyone can do. It's fairly dangerous to be out there essentially in the middle of a road. And so I appreciate the creative thinking that's gone into trying to make sure that we get these services back out in the neighborhood soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Penning. Commissioner Davis.
To the end that Commissioner Repenning has commented, I would like to reflect on the opportunity for us to embrace a lesson learned in terms of contracting, and also to take full advantage of our opportunity in terms of where we are now, budget time, for planning, and to try to decide and to explore if it would be prudent, efficient, and effective for us to consider how we go about doing this work in the future as far as budgeting is concerned. And more specifically, does it make good sense to continue to have only contracting, or should we consider having a team of our own, at least in times of challenge in the future that might arise, that we might be able to have that in the future. So I just hope that we might explore that as we move forward.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Anything further? Commissioner Davis, you have a motion on agenda item number 10. I'll second it. To adopt agenda item number 10. I'll second it. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 10. Any issue sending it forthwith? We'll send number 10 forthwith. Thank you, Mr. Spots. Thank you to both bureaus. Agenda item number 11, Office of Community Beautification, Council Districts 1, 3, 8, 10, 14, and 15, contract amendment, maintenance of former Community Redevelopment Agency properties, recommending that the board authorize the Office of Community Beautification to execute a contract amendment with Koreatown Youth and Community Center in the amount of $4,000 to maintain former CRA property described as Marlton Square in Council District 10. Secondly, authorize the Office of Community Beautification, I'll call them OCB, to execute a contract amendment with the Gang Alternatives Program in the amount of $7,500 to maintain former CRA properties described as the Bethune Library, Wilmington Block 27, and Historic Watts Train Station. Third, authorize OCB to execute a contract amendment with the West Valley Alliance in the amount of $7,500 to maintain former CRA properties described as the Reseda Theater and Reseda Town Center. And fourth, authorize OCB to execute a contract amendment with the Los Angeles Conservation Corps in the amount of $32,079 to maintain former CRA properties described as Bunker Hill Y1, First and Boyle, and First and Mission. Mr. Roch on agenda item number 11. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Paul Roch, Director of the Office of Community Beautification. For about the last year and a half, OCB and a few of our contractors have been tasked with maintaining some of these properties which were previously owned by the Community Redevelopment Agency and are now under the jurisdiction of the City of Los Angeles. There are 9 locations in total, which were just read off by President James. Some of the services being provided by the various OCB contractors vary from site to site, but typically include weekly site visits, cleaning up of any trash, litter, weeds, illegal dumping that may have occurred, removing any graffiti, checking to ensure that the gates and the fences and the locks are secure, and overall just acting as a set of eyes and ears for these areas and reporting any other problems to the appropriate agencies. Funding was previously provided for these services through the end of this current month, March of 2017, and LA City Council recently approved a transfer of funds to the OCB Board of Public Works Contractual Services account to provide services for the remaining 3 months of the current fiscal year. So these services would continue through the end of June of 2017 as currently funded. And this funding would also allow for the requested increase in service days being provided at the Bunker Hill location downtown, which has proven to be a lot more work than originally anticipated and somewhat problematic. Board approval is requested to authorize Office of Community Beautification to amend these existing contracts to provide these funds for the continuation of services.
Thank you, Mr. Roch. Any questions, Commissioner Jacinto?
Thank you. Paul, I just wanted to appreciate you for the scope of work that you have illustrating the next quarter, basically, right? About
Right.
4 months.
Yes.
Yeah, good. Thank you for listing it out.
Great, thank you. Anything else? Is there a motion by Commissioner Jacinto? I'll second it, along with Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 11. Any issue sending 11 forthwith? We will do so. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you. Agenda item number 12, Council Districts 8 and 11, Bureaus of Contract Administration and Engineering, Contract Award Secondary Sewer Renewal Program, Z24 La Brea Avenue and 63rd Street, and U07 Centinela Avenue and Idaho Avenue. Recommending that the board declare M&R Construction the first low bidder to be the lowest responsible bidder and award them a contract for the project for $1,105,230.50 and authorize myself or 2 members of the Board of Public Works to execute the contract after approval as to form has been obtained from the City Attorney. Mary Thomas, good morning.
Good morning. Mary Thomas from Bureau of Engineering, Wastewater Conveyance Engineering Division. The combined project, SSRPC 24 and UO7, will remove and replace or rehabilitate approximately 1.71 reach miles of sewers ranging from sizes 8 to 12 inches. This project is in Council Districts 8 and 11. We received 4 bids on November 9th, 2016. The lowest bid received was $105,230.50, 27.98% above the city engineer's estimate. As part of the BIP outreach, the first low bidder, MNR, has pledged 0.17% MBE, 5.11% SBE, 5.11% EBE, 34.15% OBE, and 0% for WBE and DVBE. The contractor has done due diligence and followed all city procedures, but due to the nature of the work, there has not been many MBE, WBE subcontractors that can support this kind of sewer work. MNR is a certified LBE and has complied with a mandatory subcontracting minimum of 25% by pledging a subcontractor participation level of 40.8%. Therefore, staff recommends the board to award SSRP Z24 and U07 projects to MNR, the lowest responsible bidder. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Thomas. Any questions at all on agenda item number 12? I don't have any questions either. We've got the first low bid here. We work with MNR a lot. The Bureau's comfortable with the 27% overage of the city engineer estimate?
Yes, we've been seeing a trend, upward trend since November of 2016.
A couple of contributors to the cost, to the added costs, it looks like.
Yes.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 12, seconded by Commissioner Cento. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 12. Any issue seeing number 12 forthwith? We'll send number 12 forthwith. Thank you.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 16. Mr. Campos, have we cleared the desk of our voting items?
Of the voting items, yes.
Yes. Agenda item number 16, our oral report on solvents, automotive, flammable, electronic waste, the Safe Collection Center's update. Henry Wan, good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning, commissioners and senior staff. Henry Yuan with Bureau of Sanitation, Solid Resources Citywide Recycling Division. So today I will be reporting to you on the operation of our safe centers and our ISM program. For the fiscal year 15-16, the city collected nearly 11 million pounds or 5,500 tons of ISM waste, including used oil, household hazardous waste, and electronic waste. Among the 5,500 tons of waste collected, 61% was recycled, and 20% was under a stored reuse program, so only the remaining 20% was either incinerated or landfilled.
Henry, is that 61%, is that low from what you normally see? Is it low, high, about right, about average?
The 61 plus the 20% reuse, we can consider that has been recycled, which is what, about 81%, which is considered pretty high within all the waste, because this is a hazardous waste. Certain materials has to be landfilled, incinerated, cannot be
great.
recycled.
Thank you. Just trying to put it in context from prior
Right,
reports.
because most of them,
most
of them actually are electronic waste.
Okay.
And paint, for example. The following is the highlights of our program. So the Safe Centers operation, 7 Safe Centers all operated last year, except only a few times. The center had to close because due to the heavy rainstorms recently. Operation schedule, all Safe Centers were open Saturday and Sunday except UCA facility that was open 3 days a week, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Waste bulking, consolidation, manifesting, shipping out took 2 to 3 days per week for every year. All Safe Centers handled about 2,000 shipping documents annually. The total participation in Safe Centers is nearly 130 households. Used oil program, marina oil collection, 13 sites were operational, and city also partnered with 235 certified collection centers. 2.8 million gallons used oil were collected. SHOPS program, 25 rec and park senior citizen centers and 5 city facilities, including all safe centers, had SHOP program and collected 75 55-gallon drums. Battery collection in our public library for City of Los Angeles, in 16 Jiffy Loops and most city and LAPD facilities. Collection events. Sanitation held roughly about 20 mobile, used oil, and e-waste collection events. In addition to our regularly scheduled used oil e-waste collection events, sanitation held additional HHW events last year. For example, March 28 in LA Sentinel, April 16 in South Park Recreational Center, Council District 9, June 11th in Crenshaw Christian Center, Council District 10, where 19 tons waste or material were collected. In November last year, we held another HHW event in Lincoln Park Recreational Center at the request of Council District 1, where materials were collected, about 12 tons of waste materials. So in conclusion, the staff had worked hard to keep our RSM facilities operating efficiently and provide undisrupted services to the residents of City of Los Angeles. So the total collection was up about 8 to 10%. In other words, additional 440 tons of materials, more materials were collected versus a year before. Thank you.
Great, thank you, sir. Commissioner Davis.
I wanted to compliment the Bureau in terms of the outreach that we are doing in the field events. You mentioned several of them in both District 1, and you mentioned also 10, and I guess as well as you mentioned 9, and I think those are very important to make sure that we have accessibility for our constituents. To do that, and you all have done an outstanding job at doing outreach to those communities, and we look forward to continuing to do those on an annual basis because it is critically important that our residents in every area of town participate in this activity. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Commissioner Repenning.
I just want to thank you for all your work on this program. It's a very important program for the protection of our environment, and I just want to return to the comments made by our President James earlier in relation to sanitation. In my mind, is the lead environmental protection agency for the city. Obviously, our colleagues at the Department of Water and Power, they provide services, they provide critical services, water and power to our city, and they have an opportunity to do that in the most environmentally sustainable way possible, and they have some incredible programs. But we are the agency that is tasked with protecting public health, with ensuring that our trash is being managed, that our wastewater is being managed, that our watershed is not polluted, and in this case, that these harmful chemicals are disposed of in the safest way possible. So I just wanted to thank you and everyone at Sanitation for all you do to protect our environment. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner, for your comment.
Thank you, Commissioner Repenning. With that, we'll hear from Commissioner Jacinto.
I just wanted to end it up. Thank you, Henry, for keeping the city safe. Safe. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. So with that, the oral report will be received. And Mr. Campos, have we cleared the desk?
Yes, you have.
And we are adjourned, everyone. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you.